The skies above Earth remained silent, as they had for centuries, unbroken by the sound of alien ships or intergalactic visitors. Humanity, unaware of the vastness of the universe beyond, had barely begun to explore its own solar system. Earth's only contact with the cosmos had been through telescopes, distant radio signals, and the occasional asteroid that threatened to cross paths with the planet. But all of that changed in an instant. It was late afternoon when the first anomaly was detected. A sharp burst of energy from deep space, so powerful it couldn't be dismissed as an errant comet or a space phenomenon. Satellites around the globe picked up the signal, immediately scrambling the world's top scientists. Within hours, every major space agency on Earth was monitoring the unknown energy pulse. It wasn't natural, they realized. It was a signal, a deliberate transmission from beyond. Soon after, the object appeared in the sky. It was massive, a dark shape against the fading sunlight, slowly descending toward Earth. No one knew what it was at first, a meteor? A ship? The only certainty was that its size defied human comprehension. The entire world watched in shock as the object drew closer, breaking through Earth's atmosphere with a slow, deliberate grace. The atmosphere shimmered around its edges, distorting the air with the heat of its entry. A massive, spherical ship, its surface smooth and seamless, hovered in place, blocking out the sun. Governments around the world were in chaos. Leaders scrambled to make sense of what they were seeing, while military forces prepared for any threat that might arise. Was it an invasion? An attack? The ship didn't land. It just hovered, as though waiting, observing. Then, as if responding to an unspoken command, a beam of light shot out from the ship. It was directed not toward any military target, but toward Earth's communications networks. Immediately, global communications went black. Television signals, radio waves, and the internet were silenced. Humanity was suddenly isolated, without a way to coordinate or make sense of what was happening. In the sudden silence, a new signal emerged. It was a message, a voice, alien, yet clear and direct. The words were in an unfamiliar language, but as the transmission continued, something remarkable happened. The voice shifted, adapting. It began to speak in the languages of Earth: English, Spanish, Mandarin, Arabic, French, each word precise and perfect in tone. "We come in peace," the voice said, reverberating through every device, across every screen, every speaker on the planet. The words were simple, but the weight of them hung heavy in the air. The voice continued, speaking not as an invader, but as a curious, distant traveler. "We have traveled across the stars to meet with you, to understand your world. We seek to know if your species is ready to join the greater galactic community." For the first time in history, humanity wasn't just looking up at the stars, they were hearing a message from them. Earth had just received its first contact. And the question now was, how would Earth respond? Would it fall in line, awestruck by a power it could not comprehend? Or would it defy all expectations, presenting itself as a force that would not be easily dominated? The fate of humanity hung in the balance. The world was in turmoil. News outlets were ablaze with reports of the alien ship hovering over Earth, its presence both an awe-inspiring mystery and a terrifying omen. Every government, every military force was on high alert. Leaders convened emergency meetings, diplomats scrambled, and military strategists pored over maps, trying to predict what would happen next. People were afraid, unsure of what was to come. Was this the dawn of humanity's greatest opportunity, or the beginning of its end? For the first time in history, the entire planet's attention was focused on one singular point: the alien ship in the sky. While some nations argued for immediate military action, others suggested a more cautious approach. But amid the chaos, one thing was clear: Earth needed a response, a unified response. But who would represent humanity? No one had prepared for this moment. There was no framework for a meeting with extraterrestrial intelligence. There was no protocol. The world was fractured, its divisions lay bare in the face of an unprecedented challenge. Each country believed it should have the final say, Each leader thought they were the one who should communicate with the visitors. Tensions between nations grew, and yet time was running out. Amid the global confusion, a small team of diplomats was quietly assembling in Geneva. They were far from the most powerful leaders of Earth, no kings, no presidents, but they were the ones who had been working on international peacekeeping efforts for years, building bridges where others had failed. They were experts in negotiation, compromise, and, most importantly, human understanding. As the world's eyes were fixed on the skies, this team of diplomats worked tirelessly to formulate a message, a plan. Their task was simple, yet impossible: convey to the aliens that Earth was a species capable of understanding, of diplomacy, of cooperation. When the communication systems were restored and the alien voice echoed once more, the diplomats were ready. The voice asked for Earth's highest authorities. The message was clear. They demanded to speak with the leaders, the ones who could decide Earth's fate. But the diplomats knew that sending just one leader would seem weak, as though Earth had no unity. So they sent a team instead, a diverse group from all walks of life, each one chosen not for their power, but for their ability to represent humanity's best qualities: intelligence, resilience, and hope. The alien voice paused when it heard their response. This was not what they had expected. Earth was offering not just a leader, but a united front, humble yet determined. The alien race, far older and more advanced than anything humanity could fathom, had hoped to intimidate, to overawe. But the humans would not bend so easily. Earth's representatives made it clear. They were not there to beg, to surrender, or to bow down. They were there to engage in an equal exchange, to be treated with respect. For the first time, the alien voice faltered. It had never encountered a species that did not cower in fear, that didn't see this moment as an opportunity to submit. It wasn't just the diplomats' words that surprised them. It was their demeanor, their calm, the resolute strength in their voices. The galaxy had expected nothing from humanity, but what the aliens found was something far more complicated, a species that might just be worth taking seriously. The alien ship loomed above Earth, its shadow stretching across the planet like a dark omen. The world held its breath as the unexpected dialogue between Earth's representatives and the alien force continued. The alien voice, at first curious and calm, shifted into a tone of quiet calculation. It was no longer speaking with the same air of superiority that had marked the initial contact. There was something unsettling in its tone now, a recognition that Earth was not as helpless as they had assumed. Soon, the aliens made their first demand, a series of tests meant to determine whether humanity was truly worthy of inclusion in the galactic community. These tests, they explained, would measure Earth's technological advancements, intellectual prowess, and most importantly, their capacity for survival in the face of a universe that was often brutal and unforgiving. The aliens had dealt with countless species over millennia, and they had seen it all: civilizations that had crumbled, others that had joined the galactic fold, and those that had fallen into extinction. They were confident that Earth's answer would be one of submission or failure. "We will offer you a series of trials," the alien voice echoed. "Your survival will depend on how you face these challenges. You will be tested in combat, intellect, and endurance. Fail, and you will be discarded. Succeed, and you may have a place among us." The message was chilling, but Earth did not flinch. Behind closed doors, human leaders and scientists debated the proposal. Some suggested that Earth should resist, refuse the tests outright, and continue negotiating. But the diplomats, those who had spent their careers working toward peace, knew that this was not the time for weakness. Earth could not afford to appear fearful. They couldn't afford to show weakness in the face of such a powerful adversary. When Earth's diplomats responded, it was with a calm resolve. "We accept your tests," they said, "but we will not surrender. We will not be cowed." The alien ship responded with a strange hum, followed by a short burst of static. Then the trials began. The first test was one of combat, a demonstration of Earth's military capabilities. The alien forces had no need to engage directly. They simply activated a holographic battlefield, projecting scenarios in which Earth's soldiers would have to face overwhelming odds. They would be tasked with defeating a series of increasingly formidable enemies using only Earth-based technology. The expectation was clear. Humanity would crumble in the face of such advanced opposition. But what the aliens did not account for was Earth's unique fighting spirit. When the first simulation began, humans did not rely solely on brute force or advanced weaponry. Instead, they employed strategy, flanking, ambushes, diversionary tactics, all of which they had honed in centuries of warfare. The soldiers displayed a resourcefulness and creativity that left the alien forces perplexed. No matter how much they tried to overwhelm the humans with sheer numbers or technology, Earth's forces adapted and fought back with fierce ingenuity. The second test, one of intellect, was equally grueling. The aliens presented Earth's brightest minds with a series of scientific problems, puzzles that involved advanced mathematics, complex engineering, and alien biology. They were certain that no human could solve these problems in the limited time allowed. But humanity's response was nothing short of extraordinary. Scientists, engineers, and mathematicians from around the world worked together, combining their knowledge in ways that stunned the alien observers. Time and time again, Earth's intellect outpaced their expectations. By the end of the second trial, the aliens were beginning to question everything they had assumed about humanity. They had expected a species that would cower in fear, one that would crumble under pressure. Instead, they had encountered something entirely different, a species that not only survived but thrived under adversity. The trials were not over, but already, Earth had defied their expectations. The galactic community began to stir with curiosity as whispers spread across the stars. Maybe, just maybe, humanity was something more than they had ever imagined. As the trials continued, the tension in the air grew thicker. The aliens, who had initially expected Earth to fail miserably, now found themselves facing a much more formidable opponent. With each challenge, humanity's true potential became clearer. What the aliens had seen as weakness, primitive technology, limited understanding of the stars, turned out to be exactly the qualities that allowed humanity to adapt and innovate in ways that no other species had ever done before. The third trial was designed to test Earth's ability to survive in extreme conditions, to endure the kind of harsh environments that alien civilizations had long since mastered. The aliens transported a small group of human volunteers to a distant, inhospitable planet, a place with deadly radiation, violent storms, and dangerous wildlife. The challenge was simple: survive for 72 hours and find a way to communicate with the alien ship. At first, the alien observers were confident that the humans would fail. Their planet was far beyond Earth's technological capabilities, and the creatures they would face on the surface were unlike anything humans had ever encountered. The aliens had designed this test to break the human spirit, to show them the true meaning of survival in a galaxy that didn't care whether they lived or died. But the humans were unprepared for one thing: the sheer tenacity and resourcefulness that humanity possessed. What the aliens had seen as primitive, Earth's lack of spacefaring technology, the simple tools humans had to rely on, turned out to be an advantage in such an environment. With no advanced machines to rely on, the humans were forced to use their creativity to build shelter, craft weapons, and adapt to the dangerous conditions around them. The planet's deadly radiation was no match for the humans' quick thinking. They constructed crude but effective radiation shields from materials they scavenged from the environment. The wildlife, though fierce, was no match for the humans' ability to think on their feet. They learned how to avoid danger, using the planet's natural resources to their advantage in ways the aliens hadn't expected. And most surprising of all, the humans learned to communicate. By the end of the 72 hours, they had managed to establish a rudimentary signal, sending a message back to the alien ship. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't even close to the advanced communications technology the aliens used, but it was enough to prove something to the aliens. Earth could survive, adapt, and overcome even the most impossible of odds. The alien leaders watched in stunned silence. This was not the outcome they had predicted. Earth's survival on this hostile world was not due to strength or advanced technology. It was the result of sheer will, creativity, and the kind of resolve that only humans possessed. The alien forces had expected the humans to succumb to despair, to fall apart under the pressure. But instead, they had learned, evolved, and thrived. This unexpected success threw the Alien Council into disarray. They had been so sure of humanity's failure, so convinced that Earth's inability to master the technologies of the galaxy would doom them. Yet the humans had done the unthinkable. They had survived, and in doing so, they had shown a resilience that even the oldest, most powerful alien races had never encountered before. The aliens were no longer dealing with a species they could easily dismiss. The question had changed. It was no longer about whether humanity was strong enough to survive. It was now about whether humanity's spirit could be trusted. Could they be a force for good, or would their unyielding will lead them down a path of destruction? The galaxy had never seen a species like Earth, and the outcome of the trials had set the stage for an unprecedented shift in the balance of power. The alien trials were far from over, but with each passing test, humanity's surprising strength continued to defy the alien expectations. After the survival trial, the aliens were forced to reassess their assumptions about Earth. The human spirit, raw, relentless, and determined, had proven itself to be the greatest asset in the face of overwhelming adversity. As the trials progressed, the alien leaders found themselves confronted with a truth they had never considered. The real power of Earth was not in its technology or its weapons, but in its ability to adapt and innovate under pressure. The next test was the most difficult yet, a trial of technology. The aliens presented a challenge that required Earth's brightest minds to design an advanced piece of equipment capable of completing a complex, high-stakes task in a matter of weeks. The equipment would need to perform a series of high-tech functions, utilizing alien technologies that humanity had never seen before. For most species, this would have been a near-impossible task. But for humans, it was a challenge unlike any other. The alien leaders had underestimated the ingenuity of Earth's engineers and scientists. While they assumed that humanity would struggle to even comprehend the alien technology, they were proven wrong when the first prototypes began to emerge. Earth's team of engineers and technicians had never seen the alien materials, never encountered their advanced designs, but they did something remarkable. They didn't try to replicate the technology exactly. Instead, they used their knowledge of Earth's own systems, combined with their creativity, to create something new, an entirely different solution that didn't rely on perfect replication, but on practical, functional innovation. The project was a brilliant success. In just a few weeks, Earth had produced a working device, a hybrid of human technology and alien principles that performed better than the original design. It wasn't just an adaptation, it was an improvement. And it was this ability to think outside the box, to find solutions where others saw only obstacles, that stunned the alien observers. But the most remarkable part of the trial came when the aliens tried to reverse engineer the human solution. They couldn't. Earth's ingenuity had bypassed the constraints of alien technology. It wasn't that the humans had simply solved the problem. They had outthought the alien challenge, approaching it in a way that the galactic community had never considered. The technology was simple yet effective, born of a human necessity for resourcefulness and an innate desire to overcome any challenge, no matter how daunting. The alien leaders were left in stunned silence. They had assumed that their advanced technology would be the final test, that the humans would fail to grasp it, and that the aliens would stand triumphant. Instead, they were confronted with an undeniable truth. Humanity, with its seemingly primitive understanding of the universe, had the ability to adapt, evolve, and improve anything it encountered. In fact, Earth had just demonstrated that their technological prowess, though less sophisticated on the surface, was in some ways more adaptable, more practical, and more forward-thinking than anything the aliens had witnessed before. The message was clear now. Humanity was not just another species in the galaxy. It was a force that could shape the future, not by conquering through sheer power, but by transforming challenges into opportunities. And for the first time, the aliens began to understand that the humans they had initially underestimated were not just survivors. They were creators, innovators, and pioneers of a new kind of strength. And this strength, it seemed, had only just begun to unfold. The Galactic Council was in turmoil. Alien leaders from across the galaxy, once unified in their belief that Earth would crumble under the weight of the trials, now found themselves divided. The humans had done the unthinkable. They had passed every challenge, not just surviving but excelling. The once dismissed species had defied expectations at every turn, outthinking, outlasting, and outsmarting the most advanced races in the galaxy. The debate within the council chambers grew heated. Some leaders, their species having centuries of advanced technology and wisdom, argued that Earth should be destroyed. Their resilience is a threat, one elder alien warned, his voice full of concern. A species this adaptable, this unpredictable, could destabilize the entire galactic order. We cannot allow them to become a power among us. The fear was clear. Humanity's survival instincts, their ability to adapt and innovate, could someday be used to challenge the power structures the galaxy had relied on for millennia. Earth was a wild card, a force that had not yet revealed its full potential. Others in the council, however, argued against such drastic measures. They recognized that humanity's ingenuity and survival instincts have been proven beyond any doubt. They are not a threat, a younger alien leader stated firmly. They are a challenge, yes, but they are also an opportunity. We have witnessed their brilliance. If they can be guided, they could contribute to the galaxy in ways we have never imagined. The debate raged for days. The council struggled to reconcile the idea of an unpredictable, raw, and passionate species becoming part of the galactic fold. Yet even the most hardened skeptics had to admit humanity had demonstrated an incredible strength, one that could not be dismissed. The decision was difficult. Should Earth be allowed to join the galactic community as an equal, or should they be contained, prevented from reaching their full potential? Meanwhile, on Earth, humanity was not waiting for the outcome. The diplomatic team that had initially responded to the alien voice had begun to rally support from all corners of the planet. The message they sent to the alien forces was simple. Earth did not need to ask for permission to join the galaxy. They would not beg for acceptance. They had proven their worth through their trials and tests, and they would stand on equal footing with anyone, alien or otherwise. "We have shown you our strength," the message declared. "We do not need your approval. We have already earned our place in the stars." This bold declaration sent shockwaves through the council. The aliens had expected humanity to be subservient, grateful even, to be granted a place in the galactic order. Instead, Earth had made it clear that they were not there to ask for permission. They were there to demand respect. This shift in tone, from cautious submission to confident assertion, marked a turning point. As the council continued to deliberate, a new understanding began to take shape. The very qualities that had made humanity so unpredictable, their fierce independence, their refusal to bow to any authority, had become their greatest asset. And whether the galactic powers were ready for it or not, Earth was no longer just a small, insignificant world. It was a rising force, and its influence would no longer be denied. The question no longer was if Earth would join the galactic community. The question now was, could the galaxy afford to ignore humanity's place in it? The answers, however, would not come easily. The galaxy had never seen anything like Earth. The alien council had spent centuries interacting with countless species, some far more advanced in technology and wisdom, others more primitive and easily subjugated. Yet none had shown the raw, unpredictable force that humanity had demonstrated. Every test, every challenge had revealed a resilience and adaptability that the alien leaders had not anticipated. And now, as the council deliberated on what to do with this rising force, they were faced with a crucial decision. Would they embrace humanity, or would they suppress it before it became a threat? It was not just the results of the trials that concerned the galactic powers. It was the message humanity had sent. Earth had not pleaded for a place among the stars. They had not bowed to the Council's authority or asked for permission. Instead, they had stood tall, demanding recognition on their own terms. This boldness, this unflinching pride in their own potential, was something the Council had never encountered. It was something that neither military power nor technological superiority could control. It was the human spirit, and it was unstoppable. The alien leaders convened one last time, facing the weight of the decision that could change the course of the galaxy forever. For centuries, the balance of power in the cosmos had remained stable. The galaxy was governed by long-established hierarchies, each species knowing their place, their role in the greater order. But humanity's rise had upended this fragile balance. If they were allowed to join the galactic community, everything could change. The galaxy's power structures could shift. And if they were denied, what might humanity do in retaliation? What would Earth become if it were pushed to the brink? The Council could not reach a consensus. Divisions ran deep. Some factions advocated for the integration of humanity, believing that their unique qualities could bring new perspectives, fresh innovation, and even powerful alliances. Others feared that allowing Earth into the fold could trigger a chain reaction, an arms race, a challenge to the established order that could lead to instability across the galaxy. Then, in the midst of the deliberation, an unexpected voice broke through. A single alien, one of the oldest and most revered leaders in the Council, stood and addressed the assembly. "We have always feared change," the elder said, his voice tinged with both wisdom and regret. "But we have seen time and again that the greatest advances, the greatest innovations, come from those who challenge the status quo. If we are to continue to grow, to evolve, we must learn from those who dare to think differently." The room fell silent. The elder's words hung heavy in the air, and for the first time, the Council saw Earth not as a threat, but as an opportunity. The elder's wisdom broke through the fear and doubt that had gripped the Council. The truth was undeniable. Humanity's place in the stars was not a matter of whether they would join the galactic community, it was a matter of when. As the Council session ended, a new resolution was put forward. Earth would be allowed to join the galactic community, not as a subordinate, but as an equal. It would be up to humanity to decide how they would navigate their place in the galaxy. The aliens, though uncertain of what the future would hold, had finally accepted the undeniable truth. Earth had earned its place among the stars. And on Earth, as the announcement reached every corner of the planet, a new era began. Humanity, once an isolated and fragile species, was now part of something much greater than itself. But the path ahead was unclear, and while the galaxy had opened its doors, the real test had only just begun. Would Earth thrive among the stars, or would it be consumed by the very forces it sought to join? Only time would tell. But for now, humanity had made its mark, and nothing would ever be the same again. The news of Earth's acceptance into the galactic community spread like wildfire across the planet. Governments, scientists, and ordinary citizens alike were filled with a mixture of awe, excitement, and uncertainty. The world was changing, and humanity was standing on the precipice of something far greater than anyone had ever imagined. Earth had not just survived the alien trials, it had thrived. And now, for the first time in history, Earth was part of a much larger cosmos. The first steps were cautious but promising. Earth's diplomatic team, who had worked tirelessly throughout the trials, were now tasked with forging new relationships with other galactic species. The Council had extended an offer for Earth to send ambassadors to a galactic summit, where representatives from countless civilizations would meet to discuss the future of the galaxy and the role that humanity would play within it. It was an incredible honor, but also a massive responsibility. Earth's ambassadors were well aware that this was no ordinary negotiation. They were representing an entire planet, and the stakes were high. As the summit drew near, Earth's leaders found themselves navigating the complexities of interstellar diplomacy. The aliens who had once tested humanity with impossible trials were now extending olive branches, eager to form alliances and explore the potential of this new and unpredictable species. Some aliens, whose civilizations had been stagnant for centuries, looked to humanity's drive for innovation with hope. Others were more cautious, their past dealings with other species leaving them skeptical of Earth's long-term potential. But even the most wary could not ignore the truth. Earth had something no other species in the galaxy seemed to possess, an unparalleled ability to adapt, evolve, and challenge the very systems that had ruled the stars for millennia. For the first time, humanity was at the table as equals, not as supplicants. The alien council no longer saw them as a mere curiosity or a threat to be dealt with. Earth was a new player, one whose future could shape the very fabric of the galaxy itself. The first official meeting between Earth's representatives and the broader galactic community was a historic occasion. The planet had gone from a fragile world on the edge of the unknown to a crucial piece in the galactic puzzle. But even as humanity took its place among the stars, questions remained. Would the galaxy embrace Earth's bold, innovative spirit, or would it try to tame it? Could humanity, with its vast potential, avoid the pitfalls that had undone countless other civilizations before them? The galaxy had seen empires rise and fall, but none had risen from such humble beginnings as Earth. The future was uncertain, and the challenges ahead were immense. Yet one thing was clear: humanity had earned its place among the stars, not through sheer force, but through its resilience, creativity, and refusal to back down. Earth had proven to the galaxy that it was not just a species to be conquered or ignored, it was a force to be reckoned with. And though the journey ahead would be fraught with challenges, Earth's place in the universe was no longer a question. It was a new beginning. As humanity looked to the stars, the possibilities were limitless. The trials had been only the beginning. The true adventure, one of exploration, discovery, and growth, was just beginning. And as Earth's first ambassadors prepared to meet their counterparts from across the galaxy, they carried with them a message that had echoed through the trials, through every challenge, and through every victory. Earth was here to stay, and it would forge its own path among the stars.